Hey, Ali, how you going, mate? Just a quick mic check.
GM, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. It's been a little while. How have you been lately?
Awesome. Yeah, I've been doing great. Yeah, it's been maybe what, like 3 weeks maybe since we last did a spaces together.
Yeah, it always goes by so quickly in Web3, doesn't it? A week feels like a
Yeah,
month or two. So, I think it was just a bit before NFT NYC, and I don't think we've been able to have a live one since. So, yeah, it's good to get this going, especially in this new time
yeah.
slot. We might get a few new listeners join in. So, um, all right. Well, I guess I might get started if you're ready to go, and we'll just get stuck into things. All right. So GM base heads, or as we say in the Based AF Discord, BM. My name is Gerry, and welcome to a Based Space. The Based Spaces are a safe space for the Based AF community to come together and discuss everything that's happening with the Based AF project. And if you're new here and you're listening back to this afterwards on Twitter or on YouTube and you're wondering what Based AF is, here's my elevator pitch. Based AF is a content creation monster producing entertaining and thought-provoking content, pushing the limits of human experience and expression by exploring emerging technologies such as augmented reality, artificial intelligence, Web3 technology, and of course, virtual reality. Think of Based AF as MTV but for the metaverse. And it's powered by the Based Heads, a set of digital collectibles with untold powers, your virtual backstage pass, where you can star in the action, help drive the narrative, and even share in the spoils. So before we dive into today's discussion, I might just do a quick recap of everything that's happened since the last update I did last week. So one milestone that the team's reached is we've now got YouTube monetization happening. So it's a baby step in the right direction. It does take a little bit of time to get to that level where you can actually turn ads on YouTube and start earning some funds and revenue. So it was an important milestone for the team. I think you need to have 1,000 subscribers or more and at least 4,000 hours of view time. So my own channel is so close to that. I've got over 1,000 viewers, but haven't quite clocked up the hours yet. And I've been grinding away for 14 months at this. So for the guys to do this in less than 4 months is pretty impressive. They're not expecting to get huge amounts of revenue, obviously, from that just yet, but it is a good milestone for the team to get. And, it legitimizes the project a little bit more. So Robin had a few thoughts around that in the Discord, which I'll just quote now. The amounts will be tiny at this point, but the goal is obviously to massively ramp up once we can get the through line into Fortnite established. So we'll talk a bit more about Fortnite in today's space. But Robin goes on to say that the UEFN, which is the Unreal Engine Fortnite initiative, where they're going to share 40% of profits from any game lands that are user generated and played within the game. That's really solidified the whole backbone of this adventure. The Web3/Metaverse game is very shaky ground, but NVIDIA plus Epic plus Unreal Engine 5 plus virtual production plus the UEFN is absolutely rock solid. And to give you an idea on why Robin's thinking that, the total addressable market for Fortnite alone is 74 million monthly users. So that's a massive viewer base you could potentially tap into. And one really amazing thing, if you've seen the recent video the guys dropped about 10 days or so ago now, called This is the Future of Entertainment, where they show you the holodeck and basically the set of avatar they've been able to recreate and update in their own office with the motion capture studio. That's essentially going to allow them to create in-game environments that you could actually play in Fortnite, but then they can also create real-time content in. So that's going to be potentially game-changing, and I don't think anyone else really out there has that capability. So it's a unique selling point, and it's a barrier that the team can protect as a bit of a moat, if you like. So that's quite significant. So that's pretty big news, and it was good to hear Robin's feedback about that. The next thing I wanted to bring up was Luke Franks with his Into the Metaverse podcast. He had another interview last week. So I don't know if he alternates interviews every second week and then has a feature piece. Maybe that might be the model he's going down. That seems to be the way he's trending at the moment. But he interviewed an Australian prominent sneakerhead called Secure D, he goes by the name of. And it was a really, really good discussion. This QD guy seems to really know his shit backwards, especially when it comes to sneaker culture. And he's moving into Web3 now as well. So it was a really, really good discussion. I really enjoyed listening to it. Definitely give it a listen if you haven't. It's quite a good conversation and really sets the ground for what you can expect to happen moving forward. I know Robin Supermassive is quite bullish on Web3 fashion as a thing that could blow up next cycle. And you can start to see some of these projects and what they're building now. There's a lot of them out there. So give that a watch. It was a really, really good discussion and highly recommend it. The other video that dropped was from Dan and Tom. They've created another video together without much influence from Robin, it seems. And, the chemistry between these guys seems to really work. There's a bit of a sort of a hero and a villain, it seems, between the two. So in the latest video, Dan's tried to replace Tom with AI and basically set the task of seeing if AI could replace Tom as a writer by using ChatGPT and Midjourney to create a children's novel to then sell on the Kindle store on Amazon. So it was a playful video and around the common belief that we're all going to get replaced by AI. And in typical Dan and Tom style, it had an unexpected twist towards the end. So I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. It's another good watch and sort of a quite cheeky take on artificial intelligence. And it's really good seeing the guys, flexing their creative muscles again without the need for Robin in particular. So especially with Robin, he's away on a well-earned break at the moment. And perhaps we'll see something similar in this week's video, given that Robin is actually away with his family, having a bit of a break before NFT Talon next week, where Robin will be there as a featured speaker. So just on the NFT Talon, I think there was up to 50 passes given away potentially to base heads who would like them. So check that out in the announcements in the Discord. I'm not sure where it's at with that, whether that's closed or not. But those tickets, if you're planning to get one, if you were to buy one this week, ready for the show next week, early next week, I think it starts on the 9th. That's like 249 euros a ticket. So, if you can jump on a plane and get over to Estonia for it, it might almost pay for itself. So that's pretty darn cool. And it gives you a good insight into the utility that you can start to see unlock for based heads holders. So that's enough of my monologue. We might jump into a bit of discussion. So, hey, Auli, how did you find the community space last week with Robin and the guys that got online for that? Because unfortunately, I missed it.
Oh, it was a fun watch and it was a fun listen on Twitter. So Supermassive basically went through everything that's been going on this past month. Basically, it was just a recap of what happened in April for Based AF and all things that are coming. And it was a fun listen. And yeah, we shared also a TLDR on Discord if any of you wanna check that out if you haven't already. And yeah, we're actually planning to be hosting these monthly community spaces, one per month, obviously. So it will be, and I think it's gonna be every last week of each month, and we are planning to actually do it on Twitch because Supermassive and the team want to start experimenting with Twitch as a platform for live streams. So we're actually planning to start doing this hopefully in May. So
that's interesting. Yeah, cool.
It's going to be exciting this month. We're most likely going to be doing the monthly community spaces on Twitch. So yeah, that will be exciting for the upcoming Twitch live, for the upcoming monthly community spaces.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess Twitch is really the gaming platform, the games sort of where all the game streaming goes, isn't it? Pretty much. I'm not sure what the monetization model is for Twitch. I don't know. Do you get sort of like the equivalent of AdSense? Do you know, Auli? I'm not too familiar with Twitch. I've never really used it myself.
I'm not very familiar with it, but I think there are two main ones, which are AdSense, and then you have subscribers. So basically, I think, at least from what I know, I think it's like whenever someone subscribes, I think with Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription for any Twitch streamer you like. And
I didn't realize. I think that Amazon.
Yeah,
right.
because Twitch is from Amazon, right? I don't want to be. I think it is. Yeah.
Showing my ignorance there. Okay, so it sounds like there's almost like a built-in kind of like Patreon style model.
Yeah, exactly.
There. That's quite interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that might be a quite.
I think the baseline for Twitch creators is I think $2.5 per subscriber, so it's not bad actually.
Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so all right, that's interesting. I'll be definitely sort of keen to see how that's how they lean into that and try and activate that, because it sounds like the last sort of 3 months, Robin has been, I guess, finding his way, trying to work out, hey, feels like things have moved and evolved from the original pitch deck, which was mostly metaverse VR, I guess, related. Obviously, it's still going to be a huge part of it, and the Web3 part underpinning it all with Trashland and what our based heads will sort of evolve into over time as 3D avatars that we can start to run around in game environments. But it sounds like this Unreal Engine Fortnite initiative, where they're starting to revenue share with Fortnite content creators, that sounds like it changed the game a bit for us. So that's quite interesting. Obviously, it's still going to be very much YouTube focused, but also if you can live stream and tap into that gaming market, that's absolutely massive. So pretty exciting times for sure. Did you have any other thoughts on that, Auli?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that Supermassive really focused on last week's community Twitter space was his kind of intention to really focus on everything related to Unreal Engine, Epic Games, and really trying to get into that gaming sector and audience, because what he talked about was like the TAM, the total addressable market there for these virtual game engines and virtual environments is exponentially higher than just being like hyper niche focused on smaller markets. So that's something he talked about and he focused on, and he also talked about kind of like the team's vision around AI and how we're internally really using AI and how it was really the message told on the last video, but it's just like how we can use AI as a tool and kind of to be more efficient as a team and just grow quicker. And yeah, I think those were the two main points that I got from kind of like the production side and then talking about AI.
Yeah, I mean, you did a pretty good sort of summary within the Discord. I've just got a copy of it in front of me here. And yeah, I mean, Robin's sort of saying that he doesn't believe that AI is going to replace us all, in the near future, but it's going to really give a leg up to a lot of people who know how to harness it and use it. So it might not be AI that's replacing you. It might be the next guy who knows AI who's replacing you effectively. So that's pretty interesting. And I can really sense there's just such a good community vibe in the Discord with people who are exploring and playing around with AI, especially in the context of creating content, guys that have never really created any content at all before. And even myself, I hadn't really used any AI till maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago. And once you start sort of going down that rabbit hole, it's quite a lot to take in. As kind of, to me, I was a bit scared to try and sort of even look at it. I'm like, God, this is just going to be like opening Pandora's box here. And it sort of proves to be that way, where it's just changing so darn rapidly. And I think that's probably, what Robin was trying to navigate himself is like, geez, where do we focus here? Like there's so much going on. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Maybe they lean into the gaming sort of angle more over the early months to try and gain some viewership and a bit more traction on YouTube, and then they can sort of branch out into these more nichey things that people may also be keen on. So it's going to be an interesting few months, I think. So I noticed Kerb's joined us. I don't know if you're available to speak, Kerb. If you are, feel free to request to speak. I'm sure that people would love to listen to your thoughts, given that you are one of the team members, whether that's in the live setting or listening back to it after the fact. I'm sure you'd have a lot of intel about what's being built in the background that we may not have sort of eyes on just yet. So cool. Just bringing Kerb up to the stage here. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. There you going, Kerb? Can you hear me, mate?
Hello, mate. How you doing?
There we go. Yeah, good, mate. How are you? Thanks for joining us. I know there's only a few of us here, but I'm stoked everyone is.
Certainly, I thought
it's great to have a chat.
help make up the numbers. I'm not sure I've got anything intelligent to say. That's why I tend to normally leave it all to Robin. I just sit around in the background.
I wouldn't say that. Mate. When we jumped into Dildo Dash, weeks back, an hour went by in no time at all, just picking your brains about everything. So, maybe if you're willing, what's sort of your backstory? What has led you to where you are now and becoming a team member of Based?
Oh man, my backstory is just ridiculously long and boring, I guess. I don't know. I've been doing digital stuff since the 80s. So the first sort of stuff that I did that was digital and kind of uploading art online would have been like about 1987, like well before the internet.
Far out.
Yeah. So I was on a Commodore 64 building, coming up, like doing art for a thing called CompuNet, which was like kind of like a precursor to the internet, but it was all, it was just Commodore 64s. So there's a lot of people building just demos using like SID music ripped from games. So you had all the great kind of Commodore 64 musicians like Rob Hubbard, David Whittaker and Martin Galway, and all these people whose tunes are still amazing in my mind, at least. And then we'd put images to go with them, and then zip it all up and put it online for people to download. With the whole thing being normally about sort of 40k, like music and artwork. Which is good because
that's 40 kilobytes for the kids listening. Is that what you mean?
Mate, I had a 1200/75 baud modem, which used to upload. I don't even know what the upload speed on that is. It's definitely a lot less than a K per second. It was brutal, and was incredibly expensive.
Internet pioneer, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
So
I'm a little bit younger than you, I'd say, or got into the internet a little bit. I can still relate to that. Like, I had friends that had Commodore 64s. Some of my earliest gaming experiences was going to my house and playing some of the early games on that, and it felt so cutting edge at the time, didn't it? That's the crazy thing.
I did do some sort of bits of art for games and stuff as well. I did I created a font for, I can't remember if it was International Karate Plus or Exploding Fist. It was one of the Commodore 64 Kung Fu games. I went to university as a mature student because I didn't really do it. I wasn't allowed to use computers at school because it was like for maths geeks. So I didn't do that professionally for a long time. I worked at Citibank in marketing, and then I became a student, and then the internet kind of started around the same time. So I kind of just morphed straight into that, and that's kind of I set up a studio to pay away for a university, and then just basically spent about 20 years running a studio, doing games for like Disney and PlayStation. We did a lot of web games. PlayStation, BBC, Disney, Channel 4, and I kind of I've been a we got shitloads of awards and stuff. I don't know, BAFTA nominations and stuff. I've got judged BAFTAs and what have you. So,
jeez,
kind of that. I worked in China for 5 years at game studios in China, sort of commuting between Chengdu and Shanghai. Set up a studio in Shanghai for the company, for the games company who set up in Chengdu. So like I say, I told you it was boring. I did warn you. It just goes on and on.
No, that doesn't sound boring at all. It sounds like you've been through a lot of stuff. Like, you would have seen so much technological change in those 2 decades. Like, mind boggling.
Right, that's the way you speak to grandparents, man. It's like, you must have seen, I don't know what it was like. What about cars, Granddad? What was it like when cars were invented, Granddad?
It's a bit like that. It's a bit like, I've been in IT for 20 years, so I can sort of relate. I'm spring chicken myself, to be honest. No, it's funny. So how did you actually sort of hook up with Robin and end up joining Based? Like, what did that look like?
It was on Twitter. Like, I probably for the first and only time in my life responded to something that someone said with 240 whatever characters that somehow made some kind of sense, and he just DM'd me and said that I'm starting this project. Kind of what you were saying was interesting. Do you want to chat about it? And then we just started coming up with ideas and sort of throwing stuff backwards and forwards. And that was it. We got some investment, and boom, happened really quickly. Actually, it was, it's quite. It was a really good mix because I kind of, I was able to create a deck that looked nice and had unusual and interesting ideas. And Robin's really capable at sort of telling stories and getting people excited about an idea, and also really well connected.
Definitely.
And he's really well connected as well. So it was a really painless. We were trying to raise money at a time when everyone was saying, right, all the money's dried up. Nothing's getting funded. We were like, it took us, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks to raise the money to get the company started. So
that's incredible. I mean, I know he's going through another race at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see, the dust settle from that and what that looks like and what partners he can bring on board. Now that sort of proof of concept is out and he's gotten some runs on the board, even if it's taken probably a little longer than he, had hoped to get to this point.
I'm we're both working on the investor deck at the minute, and it's like, the mad thing, we're like, 4 months in, and it really is a case of like, we're down to editing, you know what I mean? It's like, what do we, we can't put all this in because it's just overload, but it's I know probably from where a lot of people are sitting, it probably feels like, not a lot's happening, because people do just expect just a constant deluge of announcements and things happening. But we've kind of tried to tone that down a bit, because we started off very much like that. Look, we're doing all this stuff, let's make sure everyone knows about it. And then for reasons quite often that aren't under your control, stuff gets like just shelved a bit. For instance, like the dildo dash thing. I took you on a tour of it. This all exists, but that's been sat for.
It looks amazing. Yeah, I cannot wait. Because like we'll be doing this in dildo dash. We won't be doing it Twitter dash. We'll just be all hanging together, partying in dildo dash.
It's going to be really good, because we've got. At the moment, that's kind of all had to be put on hold, just because to do the dildo dash game thing we want to do, there's elements that we need Mona to roll out, which they're still, we're doing the sort of the web thing of trying to build an airplane whilst it's flying, kind of thing. So we're building a world where we're like, this bit isn't working. That's not actually ready yet, but we will be rolling that out soon. And then it's be next week, then it's next week, then it's next week. So because of that, quite often the stuff that we've announced, suddenly we can't deliver it just yet. So we're trying to be much more just a little less excitable about stuff that we announce, because I want to know that we're basically at the point where we have a much clearer idea of when we can deliver something. But next week's, if everything goes to plan, next week's going to be nuts, because there's a whole load of things that I'll be able to show work in progress and announce that.
Alpha. It's like alpha.
Mate. There's loads of stuff. There's probably at least 5 different things that I'll be able to.
Is that because of Talon? Like, is stuff being held for that? Is that as part of a sort of publicity, announce, or?
No, not really. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's just more that just sod's law. Stuff's all kind of
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, so I mean, like, and also it's because other stuff that I've been bogged down on, I can sort of say, right, that's kind of done now. I can concentrate on other stuff, which then is like gets it nearer to being done. So there'll be plenty of stuff we're going to announce. One thing we will announce is we're going to do a kind of launch party for the dildo dash shaft area. So we're going to
oh, cool.
Yeah, in collaboration with one of my other favourite projects, who are very kind of party focused.
I think I know who's. I have a feeling we've had a few of them join the Discord in the week. Yeah, I'm not. I won't say in case I get it wrong, but I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And we're
a bit of a party to break in the bollocks.
So it'll be like probably Friday after next. We'll probably just do a soft launch of the area and everyone pile in there, and we'll have people sort of doing live VJ sets and stuff, and get things properly started. Because yeah, it's frustrating for me as well that I can see how much stuff we've got that we could be showing off. We've got also I'll be putting out the first proper visuals of the physical that we're dropping, the DGAF technical sweatshirt, which is really cool. Though Robin's probably going to be wearing that in Tallinn as well if the postal service can get it to him in time. I was doing product shots of it yesterday, so it's a race against time to get it to, because there's only one prototype in existence, so he's got to go.
Gotcha. I hope it fits him okay.
Yeah, it should do, man. It's a bit, it swamps me a little bit, but he's a bit taller than me.
Before I continue, a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible.
Introducing Fraz Cola, the world's premier beer-flavored beverage.
It's Fraz, delicious, highly nutritious with a top-secret recipe that's so delicious.
Nothing beats the buzz of a cool Fraz Cola. What are you waiting for?
We're getting Fraz to the NAS.
Consume at your own risk. Symptoms may include and death.
This might be some bit of a sort of alpha hunt, but can we expect to see Meat rock up to NFT Talent?
Can we see what? I don't. As far as no,
Tom going.
I don't think so. I think they're banned from. They're banned.
Blacklisted. Hilarious.
Yeah, no, we're keeping them under wraps for a little while. I think it's just Robin going to be in grown-up mode most of the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Boring. Oh well. What can you do? That's awesome. So what's a sort of a day in the life of Kerb working for Based? Like, what are you sort of? What's your main focus generally? Because it sounds like you're doing a few things at once here.
I mean, it's all so different. It's just like such a massive, disparate amount of things we do. So I'm over in the UK, so I've got for my part of things, we're building out a lot of 3D environments for various things at the minute, including this. So there's a chat show. There's your hallway thing, which is you might be able to show that off next week as well. Again, I'm waiting for Hallway to drop a new release of their SDK, because the last one had some sort of weirdness that left avatars looking like Stephen Hawking. It kind of like this kind of slightly melty vibe. So we're just waiting for a new one of those. But the actual environment's done. So I've got two guys who work doing just 100%, also based in the UK, who are 100% doing building environments in 3D for Unity and Unreal stuff, depending on where we're putting stuff. So most recent stuff they've built that's Based Heads related is the Dildo Dash area and the game show area, which is pretty cool. So we'll soon.
What was that? The games channel? Did you say?
No, a game show set. So what the aim is to do virtual game shows. So we're using Spatial, which allows people to use VR, And then what we're going to do is
Right.
get based heads as contestants, so that we can have like a game show nights where people can turn up if they're probably do some pre-qualifying stuff, but they can turn up and play it in the game show. So a bit like the one we did where we electrocuted people, but this will be a virtual version. And we built this kind of set where if they lose enough lives, they end up in a cage and stuff like that. That's quite the cool thing about that is we've also got a developer based in the UK as well who works with me building stuff, and in Spatial he's managed to create this thing that anyone who's a contestant, anyone in the audience who turns up, one of the problems when you're in a virtual set is that you're kind of if you're trying to watch something happen on stage, it's kind of far away. And what we don't want is, because we actually want to be taking video of all these contestants to actually make a video that people can watch, we can't have people in the audience all getting in the way of us kind of filming in the virtual world. So we've created this kind of drone kind of effect thing, whereas if you sit down on any surface, it will automatically give you a fly-through camera, and then you can basically position your point whilst your avatar stays sitting on the seat. Your actual viewpoint can be from wherever you want in the studio, so you can see all the action without getting in the way of people, of us filming all the different kind of camera angles.
So you don't have a video of the back of someone's avatar blocking the set. I get it. No, that's clever.
Exactly. So,
I guess there's so many technical things you guys have to sort out, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, but that's cool. I mean, let's say, I've worked in digital for 30 years, mate. It's like literally pretty much every project you do is like, right, how are we going to make this work? That's kind of part of the fun, but it's also why every digital product you ever get is always delayed, because it's I mean, the rule of thumb is that when you're building stuff in digital, like the first 90% of the job takes like 50% of the time, and the other 50% of the time is spent doing the last 10%. It's like you end up with stuff that looks like a finished product, and people are like, why aren't you shipping this? And you're like, because this is so far from finished. No, it's
because it doesn't actually work. It just Yeah, I guess it was a bit like the Metaverse Marathon when they had that bouncing issue. You know, there's no amount of testing you can do until you throw it live and get other people connecting from all over the globe, and suddenly shit starts to break in real time. But
yeah,
challenge.
But hopefully we've kind of we've come a bit, because that was just so close to start. I really didn't have the team I needed to do that, so there was there's very little QA done. It was kind of
for sure.
I'll be honest with you, I was over in Amsterdam before that, and I was just like, I'm not at all confident this is going to work. we're rolling in 5 minutes. I was just like, oh.
It worked out all right on the day. In the end, I mean, that's part of the fun, and I guess it's that adventurous nature is based AF. Really, so
that's a cool thing about Robin's. Like, Robin's just like, look, you know, it's a journey we're taking people on. So if it fucks up, we own it. We say, look, it's fucked up, and that's funny. And I'm like, okay, I can, you know, because the BBC never used to have that kind of, or Disney never had that kind of opinion.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. It's trying to lean into that sort of playful game show-esque nature, you know, maybe like a late night game show where things get a little bit more rowdy and people aren't so stressed out about you know, shit not working and whatnot. No, that's
exactly. Sure. We're definitely we're aiming for that digital lo-fi metaverse vibe. So that will be so that's something that's going to come out. That's actually all technically working. So I mean, there will be little bugs that need ironing out, but it's a decent build. It's just really about now speaking with Tom and Dan about how we start to and Luke as well, about how we about the actual content of the game show.
For sure. No, it sounds really interesting. I'm not that familiar with spatial. How would that work from a based heads perspective? Is that kind of like a VR chat where it's just a web portal but you've got a VR headset and just connect to it?
Or you just do it, use it through your browser. So it's very much like mine.
Okay, cool.
You just rock up, you choose a Ready Player Me avatar. Pretty sure they're Ready Player Me, and then that's it. You're good to go. It's really straightforward.
Yeah, nice. So you're also working on like the VRM models too. Is that something your guys are doing, Kerb?
Yeah, I've got at the moment working with two different artists to provide two different treatments for that. Again, that's going to be probably one of the things we'll push out next week. Cool. So there's two different design routes for those. One is, I guess, a bit more vanilla and Fortnite-y. The other's a little bit kind of more quirky. And I guess we'll be, provided I'm happy with both of them, they'll both go in front of the community to choose which direction we want to go. But the idea is that they'll also work as PFP.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds like you've made amazing progress there, because that's like a pretty darn big technical lift to get something that's, you're happy with on all of those three fronts, especially if it's like for a 10,000 collection. It's not just one or two of these things. It's 10,000 of them.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, look, don't get carried away, because this is just the initial.
The proof of concept, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, prototype.
Yeah.
So we say, look, which of these do we want to go with? Then I've got to get them built, which is modelling about 300 different traits, and then also having them optimized down to because I'm building these at about 35,000 tries, which is essentially the same amount of optimization that a Fortnite skin would have. So they look cool from if you render it up as a PFP, it will look good. If you have it in something like Fortnite that can support that, it will look great. But then when you want to go and put it in other worlds, a lot of worlds have like a 10,000 try limit, so we have to reduce. So yeah, there's still a process to go through for that, and then there's also the process of like working out how to build these things dynamically and have them all sort of rigged and working. But we're talking with partners about that. We've kind of had quite a lot of discussions about that.
Looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, me too. I've got there's two at the moment. I've got there's a guy in Ukraine who's building one of them, and another modeler I'm working with in Brazil who's building the other one. So
Nice.
Be excited to see what everyone thinks of them.
What are your thoughts on the whole Fortnite thing, moving into Fortnite and actually trying to sort of monetize off of that mechanism? Have you had much to do with Fortnite and games similar to that in the past?
I was kind of I played Fortnite when it first came out, and then I haven't played it for a long time, and then in the last month or so I've been playing it a lot again. I like it, though it's one of the things where you realise you're getting old and you start playing it and you're sort of like, oh my God, like everyone's so fast, all these young whippersnappers jumping around. So
I gave up at Half-Life 2. I gave up at Half-Life 2 before Counter-Strike even came out. That's when I was getting old, so.
No, I used to play just Bad Company, whatever, Modern Warfare stuff. I used to love all those. I really like it because although the stuff you've seen that we've built so far has been the world, you've only seen one of the worlds, the shaft thing, that's all built in Unity. My environment guys have mainly their experiences building in Unreal, so that was kind of trying to get their heads around a different workflow and that. Yeah, it's cool, but what's really good is that if we're moving towards doing stuff that's at the moment, one of the things we're building is a Fortnite level for a different project for a not specifically based heads thing. It's for a based TV thing that Robin and the team are filming. So
Okay.
I probably can't go into too much detail on that because we're kind of building it for them at the minute. And the guys really like it because it's basically Unreal. So we're kind of all the custom assets they're putting in are all stuff that they're creating for Unreal, which is what they're used to. So it's good for me. I like it, man. It's and I think the good thing is because we've got a virtual studio that the mocap studio is all Unreal as well. That it kind of we're not a big team. Trying to work across loads of different platforms is painful. So
must be
yeah. So consolidating and just sort of like targeting one specific platform suddenly makes it a lot easier when we sort of want to. You only need to build one set of assets.
It definitely makes sense to go after Fortnite, given the scale of it, plus the fact that you can actually like directly monetize within it as well. So that like there's the revenue stream potentially that the project was always seeking, but it's also the massive viewer base sounds like it's almost infinite. I mean, 74 million players a month is just insane numbers. So it's
great, and the way that they integrate different IP in there all the time is really I mean, at the moment, there's like the Star Wars IP that's the latest quests, which is quite weird the way they kind of integrate that because it almost feels like a bit like they're phoning it in, stick some skins in there, and it's not like playing Battlefront or something where you're actually sort of fighting through a whole Star Wars environment. It's just quite piecemeal, and I quite like the fact that we can actually build our own environments out, and so all the assets we're building for the shaft, we'll retexture them to work all right in Unreal, and then just put them into Fortnite and start building kind of based head Fortnite locations, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because obviously Robin's got a bit of a cheeky, almost provocative nature at times. So, and obviously that, people like that targets clicks and views. And I'm not really in the gaming culture, but I'm sure there's a lot of meme-worthy shit that Robin could conjure up. Like maybe he starts, creates an AI Mr. Best version of Darth Vader, for instance, and makes it an AI and puts it in your world and makes it look a little bit shit deliberately and starts taking the mickey out of it. And suddenly you get this, viral wave of viewers from the gaming world come over and go, hey, that's pretty funny. I can relate to that. It's going to be really fascinating to see what the guys can conjure up with all this tech that you guys are building.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's the most exciting thing for me is the fact that because we're building out a lot of these assets, the barrier to entry for us to create Fortnite levels that are sort of kind of adhere to the base head law that I've been working on. It's kind of it becomes really achievable. And I just really like the idea that we can quite quickly and easily build out worlds to tell our story. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess there's not, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know of, is there anything else out there that has IP that's sort of, a land of trash? I can't think of anything. Mad Max maybe is probably the closest parallel I can think of. Sort of
this kind of
Aussie boomer sort of idea.
You're representing. There's a few different films, and there's kind of Borderlands sort of has that kind of vibe as well. So we're kind of, I guess, borrowing stuff from all over the place. Really, there was a really good sort of indie movie. Funny enough, I think Robin feels like it was the only other person in the world that saw it. There's a movie called Hardware, which is a kind of indie sci-fi movie back in the day. And when I was trying to explain my vision for this sort of this trash world, I kind of mentioned that, and he was like, "Oh my god, I know the producer of that, or I know the director of that, or something." I was like, of course you do, like mental. But that was definitely a reference as well.
Oh, that's interesting. What was it? Hardware, was it? I'll have to look that up.
It's very weird. It was on, I saw it on like this thing called Videodrome one night. It's very odd. But there you go. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there'll be some other bits and pieces as well. But I think the next, the most exciting thing that's definitely going to happen in a week and a half will be a party. So I've just got to work on some invites for it now.
That sounds great. So will you have to have a VR headset to participate, or you can just come in on the browser?
No, just the same as last time. Just pile in on the browser.
Yeah. Actually, I had a question about the Metaverse. Does it have sort of like, quasi proximity audio, or is it all just like an open mic for everyone kind of thing?
No, it's it does have the audio gets louder and quieter the closer you get to the source. It's pretty good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's going to be amazing then. Like, I can totally see us all just raving out, running around, and because obviously, like a Twitter space like this, for most people, that's quite intimidating to get up and talk.
Yeah.
I was shitting myself only a few weeks ago when I first started doing this, but in that space with you, running around, trying to jump on these platforms like a complete retard and missing them, all those barriers just disappear. You just feel like, it sounds really weird, but it feels like you're just chatting to someone like you would at a party. And I think that's so much fun for everyone to actually get together in a virtual space finally. It's because a lot of us don't have VR headsets, or we can't. So that'll be so much fun. I can't wait for that. That'll be brilliant.
Well, I don't. Mona still doesn't have support for them, which is why we used Spatial for the TV show set that we're building. Right. So that set specifically is built in Spatial because they kind of have more interaction, including the use of VR headsets. Because I think if you're doing a quiz show, you really want people to. You don't want them just standing there kind of static. You want them to be able to move their hands and head around and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just so
definitely
the experience is so kind of static anyway that small bits of animation really matter. So, and if we're trying to do close-ups on people now, I don't know how it'll pan out, but that's kind of part of the fun, right? To just try and see what we can do to what we can attempt, and if it turns out to be brilliant, then that'll be amazing. If it turns out to be an absolute car crash, then that will still be amazing.
Yeah, I'll document it all and make a funny YouTube. Spectacular failure, and that's why we're all here on the bleeding edge. So that's awesome, Kerb. Hey, I was just going to ask if anyone in the crowd wants to ask Kerb a question. Now's your time, guys. Jump up, pop your hand up, join us on stage, and get Kerb while he's up here and he can't run away. So, Auli, do you have anything you want to ask Kerb while he's here? You might have some question you've been keeping you up at night.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm really excited for next week because I think there's some interesting stuff coming, and I know Kerb has a lot of stuff to show.
See, I'll have answered all the questions, but I'm just not interested enough.
It certainly sounds like next week's going to be an exciting one. I was actually wondering what the team are going to do with NFT talent if Robin's away. Like, can we expect a normal flow of videos and whatnot? Maybe next week we won't because we're going to have other distractions, or maybe we'll have both. We'll have to see. So actually, Kerb, do you know what this week's video is going to be about? Assuming there's a video coming.
I know what the podcast is going to be about, but that's kind of under wraps at the minute. I think last time I saw that's not, still waiting to know if what he's been interviewing people about is something that he's allowed to, if it's embargo.
Talk about,
So it's quite interesting. The other ones I don't, because I do get over to the studio in Amsterdam a fair bit, but when I'm just here in the UK, I'm just so fully engrossed in trying to get all the rest of the digital stuff out. Sometimes it's I look through our internal chat and someone will ask me to give once over with like concept stuff and sort of stuff like thumbnails and that kind of thing. But often with the content, I'm not seeing it until the premiere.
Yeah. Well, that's probably how you want it to be anyway, in a way. Like, it's the whole point of a big team where you all have your own roles to play and whatnot. But it must be fascinating being a part of it. So how many people are in the team now, do you know?
Oh man, I've got no idea.
I know I know that they've been wing, but I'm not sure what the numbers are at the moment. I guess it doesn't really matter because
it's probably around 20.
Oh really? Okay, wow, bigger than I thought. That's pretty impressive then. So no, cool.
Yeah, I know. I'd say it's around 20ish, and that's spread. That's both including the team in UK as well, not just the studio over in Amsterdam.
Sure. No, that's great. Yeah. I've certainly been loving seeing Luke Franks' podcast. It's been a really nice element to sort of add into the mix, and it's sort of it's just a totally different vertical to look at rather than the sort of the more playful and entertaining, deliberately entertaining stuff. It's been nice to have that narrative of Luke's in the mix as well. So pretty interesting, and I wonder what connections that'll be able to sort of make that Base may even be able to use and showcase later on. So that's certainly pretty impressive.
He's good. I mean, he's a really good presenter, Luke, and he's very different to the rest of the team as well. He's got his own style, which I really like, and he's a really good lad as well. He's kind of a lot of when you saw that 9-hour live thing we did for the
he was amazing in that
marathon. I mean, I was
more impressed with him than Robin, which sounds crazy, but I was like, who is this guy? Like, he's just such good energy for 9 hours. That's
exactly, man. It was like both of them in their own ways were doing like an endurance test, and it's amazing because I worked in TV, a fair bit, and people always like that blow me away that they're kind of, just a normal person, then they're like on, the camera's on, and they just go boom, and they suddenly flick a switch, and not that he's just boring or something when he's not on telly, but it's funny when you see these people when the camera goes on and suddenly they go up a gear. I find it astonishing. I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
As you can hear.
He's got that camera presence about him and confidence and just seems to know what he's saying before he says it, where most people that's the opposite, you know what I mean? Like your brain's moving faster than your mouth, and I don't know. Yeah,
he's fun. He's one of those guys where he'll say something and then you kind of like, it takes a couple of seconds and you think, that's really clever, that's actually really funny. He can't have meant that, but you can't have that many happy accidents that you say stuff that is genuinely sort of like that quick and funny when you sort of take time to just dissect it, and it just comes to him in a flash, man. It's a rare talent.
Definitely a good get for the team for sure. So I'm glad that sort of worked out, and just a whole new vertical that they can add to, just another layer to the onion, because I can see Base being pretty broad over time. There's so many avenues they could go down once they get at scale. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and obviously you're doing massive amounts of work in the background, all this technical stuff that at the surface that we just don't see. So,
I think that's kind of part of the challenge, and also part one of the things we've had to sort of roll back on a bit is that there are so many potential avenues you can go down. That at the very start we were like, oh shit, we can do this, or we could do this, we could do this, and then before you know it, I've got a to-do list that is like has 30 different things on it, and none of them are ever going to get done because they're always being they're being not replaced by, but they're sort of getting pushed out of the queue.
It's been spread too
by the latest cool thing that we could do. So we've definitely had to just sort of like take a breath and say, look, you know, there is just so many possibilities, but we need to be much more choosy about which ones we can do and which ones we devote our time to, because there just isn't the time and resource to just do everything. But the cool thing about having a community of people that all want to try cool stuff is we kind of suddenly, when we were taking that sort of pause to think how we continue with it, it became obvious that actually trying to help the community to make to try and jump on all these different potential cool things we could do is a much better idea than just trying to do it ourselves and to do everything and then not doing anything and not doing it properly. Is to just if community members say, "Oh, this is just an insane thing. We should definitely be doing this." You know, it's for us to say, "Okay, well, yeah, that sounds like a cool thing. If you want to do it, what can we add? What can we give you to do that?" So that's going to be kind of sort of our focus, I think, moving forward, is trying.
Yeah, for sure. I've never seen such a small community be so well sort of banded together and just like so creative and brave and just trying shit and failing in front of everyone and like at being okay. Like there's no issue. In fact, it's applauded. Like good shit. Like that's amazing. Thank you for trying something and sharing it with me. Like,
well, I think
I just love that vibe, you know.
I do. I love communities that's just the currency is just making silly, fun content. I got
take the piss. That's what it is to be based, right? Having fun.
Exactly. There's a guy I went to college with who set up a website called B3TA. This guy Rob Manuel, and the community there. It always used to blow my mind. I mean, we actually used to pay them sometimes to make stupid stuff for some of our clients, because they just had this kind of hotbed of really insane and imaginative and funny people. And I think trying to foster that kind of thing for the metaverse, it's a really good template. There's a lot of people like, if you see the people like Syriac, who's a guy from just up the road in Brighton who does insane animations, and then various other sort of like insane internet sort of dancing cat memes and stuff that you'd have seen through from back in the day. So many of those came through B3TA. It was just kind of like a kind of the acceptable version of 4chan or something. So, you know, that would be, I mean, I should speak to Rob sometime. So I used to sit sometimes on the B3TA editorial meetings, because when I moved to London, he used to live just up the road from me in London. And, it was quite interesting seeing how that they would have editorial meetings for their newsletter, but for the to help kind of direct what the community was going to do. So I definitely would like to, if we could emulate something like that, but for the metaverse, it would be just perfect.
Yeah, there's definitely that vibe. I mean, my dad was over the other day, and he's like, "All right, I don't get what you're doing, son. Show me some of your stuff." and I was showing him some of the the AI bullshit I've made, and he's like, "You're getting paid to make this?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And he's just like, "This is just like Monty Python, from about 40 years later." And so I grew up on all that shit, and I can relate to some of that British humor, I think, and I think that's why. Totally, really just loved what Based AF's about, and Robin's attitude towards everything, and towards Web3. A little bit sort of thumbing his nose at some of the nasty shit that is in Web3 and the Metaverse and Web2, and so it's sort of fun to be a bit more rebellious and like, okay, there is some good stuff here, and there is a real community around it. So I just love where this is all going, and I just think it's so much fun to be a big part of it. So it's been brilliant. So
Cool,
we're just guys. I was just going to say, Kerb, is there anything that you wanted to sort of close out with, like try and keep these short?
Just that I'm basically getting hassled to get back on doing the wireframes for the website, which still doesn't exist. And that's like, for a digital project, having just a holding page is surely at best, especially considering when I started my digital company in 1996, we were a web design company. So like the idea that I'm now running a project that doesn't even have a functional website is just it's pathetic's not even a good enough word for it. So I'm not busy wireframing that at the minute. I'm trying to work out what goes on that.
No, fair enough. We're taking you away from your work for an hour, so you can blame me. Someone comes asking. So, well, if unless anyone else wants to put their hand up and have any questions or anything to sort of add to the conversation, we might wrap things up, guys. Auli, did you have any closing thoughts that you wanted to make at all before we wrap things up?
No, that's all good. Yeah.
Too easy. Well, thanks very much for joining us, guys, and we'll try and do this time. So, yeah, he's having a siesta, isn't it? It's a bit late. It's 3 p.m. You should be back out of bed by now. Come on. I think we might try and do this time slot every sort of fortnight-ish if we can, just because I want to try and move this slot around so all of our Based Heads community have a chance to join us live in case anyone wants to get up, have a few questions, and it also might make some of the Based team a bit more accessible as well. That we might be able to sort of join us to help sort of drive the conversation a bit as well. So thanks so much in particular, Kerb, for joining us. It's been brilliant, mate. Really love the chat, and maybe we'll get you again in a few months' time and see where you're at.
Yeah, cool. Well, I say that next week should hopefully be some interesting stuff to keep people.
I can't wait to see the announcement on the Discord. No, it should be brilliant. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Cool. Nice one.
Stay based.
Mate. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!